name of the game is Ball Buster. It's a family game, fun for children. You make strategic offensive and defensive moves. Then try to bust your opponent's balls.
Hey everybody, hope you're having a great summer. Wanted to make a quick video before I head out to Buffalo because I bought the new Paul McCartney album. Yes, I broke down and bought it. You thought no, not the other one, not that Boys of Dungeon Lane album. What a douchebag. I'm not going to say any more about that, but no, Paul McCartney is actually on this record. Couldn't tell you what track. I mean, I could look it up. I just know he plays bass on one song. Although, I mean, you know, honestly, is Paul McCartney's bass playing that distinctive that you could pick it out? I personally could not. So all I can tell you is on here on one song, along with Bruno Mars and Robert Smith. He doesn't sing on here, at least not to my knowledge. I think he just plays some keyboards. Steve Winwood is also on this record, which is pretty cool. But yeah, what do I think of it? Overall, just kind of like a very quick overview. I mean, I'm happy we have it. The Stones sound great. Mick Jagger's voice is incredible. I can't imagine how well his voice has held up over the years compared to some of his contemporaries, like Paul McCartney, whose voices just sound so withered. It just sounds so fragile.
There's nothing there.
Whereas Mick Jagger, he is still belting out the songs. The voice sounds great. I don't know how he does it, honestly. But yeah, there's some really classic high energy Rolling Stones rockers on here. And then there's some stuff where it's kind of like, well, am I going to remember this after a week? Is this going to be an album that I return to a month, 6 months, even a year later?
Not really.
Possibly. You know, I found myself listening to Hackney Diamonds a lot more than I would have expected. And how does this compare to Hackney Diamonds? You know, I kind of like this a little bit better, to be honest with you. So let me just kind of go track by track here. The first track, Rough and Twisted, is probably the grittiest, hardest edge song that we have on here. It reminds me a little bit of the Black Keys. But you've got some gritty guitar work from Keith Richards. And there's, of course, always some killer harmonica playing. Just a really kind of raw feel to this song. And I read one review. It was just on Wikipedia. I forget who wrote the review. But it was basically, you know, oh, it's overproduced and whatever. I don't hear that here. I don't think it's any more overproduced or polished than, you know, any of the other Stones records that we've gotten in the 90s or 2000s. But Rough and Twisted definitely for me is one of the highlights. A great, great classic album opener. In the Stars, I like a lot too. It starts off, you think it's going to be a ballad, and then it kicks into, I wouldn't say like a hard rocking gear, but, you know, a lot of this album reminds me kind of Some Girls, where they're stylistically, they're trying out different things, nothing outside of the Stones' comfort zone, but there are still, you know, every song doesn't sound the same, I'll put it that way. In the Stars, I think that was the first single off of here, but a really great up-tempo rocker. Jealous Lover, we've got Mick Jagger slipping back into that falsetto, kind of like he did for Some Girls or Emotional Rescue. And at his age, I'm not sure he can entirely make it convincing. He doesn't quite pull it off. And I do like the song, I mean, honest to God, but, you know, I always think back, like, if Mick Jagger had tried the falsetto during the Brian Jones era, like, Brian Jones would have kicked him in the nutsack and been like, man up, you fucking pussy.
You can act like a man! What's the matter with you?
But anyway, here we are. You know, obviously Mick did it in the 70s. I don't know that he did it so much in the 80s, but here we are back to the Jagger falsetto with kind of, you know, mixed results. So I wouldn't say it's not cringy, but I always prefer Mick when he just kind of sings it straight without having to lapse into, you know, his Barry Gibb impression. And we have Mr. Charm, which I like the song a lot. Mr. Charm, it kind of reminds me of something we would have gotten like on the first side of Tattoo You a little bit. But The chorus, I can see how it could be very polarizing. Mr. Chom, Mr. Chom, Mr. Chom, Mr. Chom.
When I'm saying Mr. Chom, Mr. Chom, Mr. Chom, Mr. Chom,
I can see where people would find that, like, okay, enough with that already.
Mr. Chom,
It's just one of those very distinctive,
Mr. Chom,
somebody less charitable might say annoying,
Mr. Chom,
but it works for me. I'm fine with it. It's sort of like that vocal hook
Mr. Chom,
that makes a song stand out. So I do like that one. And then Divine Intervention, we have a little bit more falsetto. However, this song reminds me of, I was thinking about it, like Let Me Go from Emotional Rescue. A song like that, that's what that track reminds me of. And I think this was the second single off of here, but I do like it. I mean, it's a great mid-tempo Stones rocker. And with all these songs, they are playing them with conviction. They were giving them all. They're not phoning any of these tracks in. And that's just my impression. You may disagree with me and you'd be wrong, but my own personal impression of it is they really are giving it everything they got. I mean, Hackney Diamonds only came out like 2 years ago, was it? And here they are already kicking ass again. Ringing Hollow is another countrified bit of Rolling Stones, kind of like a Faraway Eyes.
What cigarette do you smoke, Doctor? Once again, the brand named most was Camel. Yes, according to this repeated nationwide survey, more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette.
Not that, I don't think it has the strongest melody. I don't dislike it. It's just kind of like, yeah, I'm not going to skip over it when I play this record, but, it's not one of their better country, not one of their better forays into the country genre. I will leave it at that. Never Want to Lose You, and this is where I am making comparisons to Some Girls because of a track like this. It's got kind of this disco beat to it, reminiscent of like an Emotional Rescue or a Miss You, and it works. It sounds contemporary, but it's very much kind of like, Mick Jagger prefers kind of his mixture, his hybrid of dance and rock and roll. Never Want to Lose You, but I think it works. I really do. I like it. I'm not disparaging it by comparing it to Miss You or Emotional Rescue. I like that track a lot. Hit Me in the Head is okay. They do an Amy Winehouse cover, for Christ's sake, with You Know I'm No Good, which I listened to it the first time, and then I was kind of reading up on it. And I did not realize that was an Amy Winehouse cover.
Yeah.
You could have fooled me. It doesn't sound like an Amy Winehouse tune. Not that I'm an Amy Winehouse expert or anything like that, but that one's pretty good. And then we get Keith's vocal on Some of Us, which I do like. I love, Keith track. He takes one or two per record anymore, but I do like this one. It's got that Keith charm. And I will say, even his voice sounds better than Paul McCartney, if I'm being honest. But Some of Us, I do like. It's got a catchy chorus, and it's, your typical Keith, a little bit sentimental, but there's still that rock edge to it. And then I feel this is side 4 because it's 2 discs. And so side 4 starts off with Covered in You. I think side 4 is probably the weakest. Covered in You. Side Effects is pretty good. I do like Side Effects a lot. Back in Your Life is okay, but the ballads here I think are the weak spot here. That's really where the album kind of drags a little bit. The hard rockers I'm all on board with, but the ballads I'm just not a huge fan of. I mean, do we need any more Stones ballads? I don't hate them, but I could do without them as well. And then Beautiful Delilah, which I think is a Chuck Berry cover, but it's, again, kind of a raw, stripped down, sort of how they did like Rolling Stones Blues. But it closes the album out on a nice, sort of like a nod to their original R&B bluesy roots. So yeah, I'm glad we have this record. And yeah, it's probably one I will pull out once in a while and play. I even like the cover art. I've seen some mixed reviews about this cover art, which is sort of like a hybrid of Keith, Mick, and then Ron Wood on here. But I like it. I I think it stands out like most Rolling Stones covers, and like Rolling Stones covers should. So yeah, overall, if I had to rank this out of 10, I would probably give it a 7.5. I do like it a lot. I was pleasantly surprised because the Rolling Stones have not run out of gas. Great album. If you're on the fence about it, definitely go pick this one up. All right, hope you're doing great, and take care.
What's the matter with you?